Howdy, folks. I'm Brian. Shh, don't tell Amber I've started.
I can hear you.
Our first story is titled... Oh, no. No, she's not coming over here yet. Amber's like, fine, if you don't want me here.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at you for the flashlight. You brought the flashlight over.
I did. That was what I was going for.
Howdy, folks. I'm Brian.
I'm Amber.
And here's some extra specially spooky Reddit stories.
Except they're not any spookier than usual.
That's literally the only reason why I wanted her flashlight, folks, so that I could act like a creep on camera.
Well, we found it. It was out on our octagonal table.
Yes, it was in plain sight.
Right.
Okay, so let me ask you about another jerk situation I have here. Occasionally, we have things that will disappear. They'll disappear from plain sight. We'll look like in a drawer. We'll look and it won't be there, and then like 2 days later, it'll be there, right? We attribute this disappearance to the void. I want to know from you folks if you have a void in your house, and if it's the jerk for stealing your stuff temporarily while you can't find it.
It definitely is a jerk. Definitely.
So let me know about your voids. Anyhow, let's get started.
That's not your first story.
Yeah. Oh, this is our
The
last
fourth
story.
So you got a sneak peek.
Shh, don't tell anyone. It's a secret. Our first story is titled, Am I a Jerk or Will I Be a Jerk for Not Telling My Siblings About Their True Paternity and Taking Everything in My Dad's Will? I'm a 38-year-old person, and I've been in North Carolina with my dad.
No contact.
Oh, no contact. You know what? That makes more sense. I don't know why the state matters here. I'm a little tired. With my dad and 2 younger siblings for many years, my dad always treated me like garbage because he was convinced that my mom cheated on him. Because she did. A lot. And trapped him into a bad marriage, and that I was not biologically his. For my 13th birthday, my dad bought me a paternity test, and even though the test results came back that I am indeed his, he accused me, or my mother, of sleeping with the test guy. Well, LOL, I also have done an ancestry DNA test, and also matched with all of his relatives. So I'm pretty sure that unfortunately, he's my bio dad. I have known for a long time that my younger sister was not my dad's. When I did the ancestry DNA test, my sister wanted to get one done too. My mom freaked out and admitted her indiscretion and begged me to convince my sister that it was a waste of money and that she could just have a copy of my results. I did because I thought I was protecting her and she was going through a rough time at the time. I recently got a notification about an ancestry DNA matched. I looked it up and it looks like my brother's ex-wife got one of the kits for both of my brother's kids. And lo and behold, my brother's kids only seem to share relatives from my mom's side. FYI, my profile uses a screen name, so she would not have recognized who I was. My brother and sister have been really bad to me for years. Comments about how I owed their dad for putting a roof over my head as a child, and how dare I accept items from their grandmother's estate, etc. I put up with it for years because they are younger and honestly not that bright. I thought that they would come around eventually. My dad made sure in a drunken fight with my mom to give me a copy of his will. I still have it, so that he knew that he had put a stipulation in there about his estate being divided amongst his biological children. I know that he has not changed his will since because his mental capacity has changed, TMI. Will I be the jerk if I did not tell my siblings and just let this play out at the will reading? Take everything and kick them out of the family home. I would also be setting up funds for my nephews since my loser brother doesn't pay child support. My husband thinks that this is stooping to their level, as they both rely on his estate currently to survive. So this will ruin them. They have no education or way to support themselves currently, but I kind of want to stoop. So, what do you think about this situation?
I think it's a little bit tricky in that the siblings do rely on the estate, but also it's not on OP to like her father wrote the will in this particular way,
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily like
Yeah, well, I agree with what you're kind of saying here. Like, the OP didn't twist his father's arm, right? He's being mean and spiteful and being a jerk about the situation because he's absolutely convinced that OP isn't their child.
yeah.
And I think that that's kind of unfortunate. And I think that, like, it's not OP's fault that their siblings, one, seem to just, like, live off their father, and two, that they never, like, acquired jobs or skills or anything like that to fend for themselves. It sounds like OP probably has been fending for themselves this entire time. And I don't know, like, with the meanness factor, like the siblings being mean to OP, being like, you're ungrateful, that our father put a roof over your heads, and, so on and so forth, it might not be that bad of a thing to just kind of hold it over their heads.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is like it's
And OP can give away money.
oh yeah,
And,
certainly if they want to, but yeah, I don't think it's incumbent on them to
Mm-hmm.
make the siblings aware, and I don't know if that would even change anything because if the father's mental state is
Mm-hmm.
has declined to a point where he can no longer consent for himself, then changing his will would be really hard anyway. So I mean, it would give them a heads up that like, oh, you're gonna need to get life skills because I'm kicking you out,
Yeah.
but it would create a lot of chaos.
Maybe
and-
not kick them out, but rent the house to them.
Yeah, like
if you can.
There's a bunch of different options OP could go through. But I
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, if they don't tell them, it's not their responsibility or their place.
Yeah.
If the siblings have just gone along and assumed that it was the case, like, and have never bothered to get a DNA test, even though they know the mom has had many infidelities, then that's kind of on them.
Yeah. Well, exactly. But they don't also know about the will.
Yeah, well, but it sounds like they're so sure that they're his kids because he says they're his kids.
Yeah.
That they haven't even bothered to test it. Our next story is, am I the jerk? I told my wife to stop acting like she's too good for a local diner. Today was my younger daughter's birthday, so we asked her where she wanted to go for dinner at. She said she wanted to go to Denny's, so that's where we went. Our daughters ordered burgers and waffles. I ordered a steak, and my wife took a salad. She kept complaining about the food, saying it wasn't good. I tasted some of her salad and it tasted fine. I asked her what the problem was, and she said the diner wasn't good enough and that it isn't as good as the restaurants we usually go to. She likes to go to high-end restaurants. I took her aside and told her to stop acting like she's too good for a local diner and to suck it up for our young daughter's happiness at least. She got mad and said that I'm being rude to her and that this restaurant was really cheap and not good enough. So I gave her the keys and told her to drive herself home and get dinner for herself from a high-end restaurant of her choice, and that I'd get a cab for myself and the kids. She stormed out of the restaurant. When the kids asked me where Mommy went, I told them that Nana called her, so she had to go, but should make it up to them with ice cream. We had dinner, went to a movie, and took a cab home. When we reached home, I put them to bed because my wife hadn't returned yet. I called her and she said that she'll be at her mom's place for the night. I think maybe I was too harsh on her. Am I the jerk? Edit. My daughters like the fast food joints a lot because they really get a chance to go there. My wife hates eating there, so she never takes them. I take them for a quick meal after school sometimes, but that's the only time they go there. They probably feel bad looking at their friends who get to go to such places all the time.
Well, this one's interesting, eh?
Yeah, I definitely think OP is not the jerk for taking the
sure.
daughters to where they want to go and for telling his wife, like, you can deal with it for one meal.
Oh yeah, I think dealing with it for a single meal at the cost of happiness for your children really isn't that big of a deal. I wouldn't
Right.
think it would be, right?
Well, isn't that kind of part of the point of being a parent is you sign up to do things you don't always love because
Yeah.
they make your kids happy?
Yeah, well, and then on top of this, it's one night.
Right.
Can you not just pick at your salad for one night and then
Right.
go and find yourself some food another time?
Well, it's the daughter's birthday of
Yeah.
all times, too. Like, if you should not have the attention on yourself for one day, like, maybe your kid's birthday should be
Yeah.
one of those times.
And I mean, diner food, it's diner food, right? I mean, it's not necessarily like high quality or high class food. I mean, At Denny's, you can get a grand slamwich if you want. But I mean, it's food. It's food, right? I mean,
Right.
and if the kids like it, then let them enjoy themselves. They're kids, right? They don't need to necessarily enjoy the finer restaurants yet.
Well, that's another thing is that kids often have different palates from adults and they don't necessarily enjoy like fine dining as much. So I feel bad for these kids if they're always getting dragged to fine dining establishments because that's what mom likes.
Yeah.
And if Opie's being a jerk for anything, I think that he lets his wife make herself a priority too much, potentially to the kid's detriment.
Oh, and OP actually kind of handled this in a very, very diplomatic way. There's
Right.
nothing in the situation that would make me think that OP was a jerk, because they pulled their wife aside. They said, hey, can you just cool it for a night? And then when the wife threw a fit and it's like, no, I can't. He's like, well, okay, go find yourself some food and, we'll take a cab back.
Yeah, well, I just can't believe this should have that much of a temper tantrum. Now,
Yeah.
because I've gone to fast food places before with, very bad vegetarian selections, and I had to sit through some less than stellar meals, and,
Hmm.
I didn't complain about it because, it wasn't about me. And so, there was one restaurant that everyone was raving about, and so we went there for a friend's birthday,
Yeah,
and
which restaurant was that? Was that Five
Five
Guys?
Guys.
Oh, Five Guys.
Yeah, we just did not there had
Well, okay. Amber ordered, the burgers were okay, right? The fries were okay. And I mean, but Amber ordered a grilled cheese sandwich. They took two
hamburger buns,
buns,
turn them inside out, and put a piece of cheese in between them.
and that was her grilled cheese
That was my
sandwich.
grilled cheese. Well, and the fries, they weren't even well salted or anything. They did not hold a candle to Burger King. We'll put it was just they gave you a lot of food for the price, and I think that's a lot of what people enjoyed about
Yeah.
it.
I know, okay. I mean, I think different fries for different people.
Yeah.
And I mean, certainly, their fries were okay. But I actually do enjoy different fries. I just think that the cut of them wasn't necessarily the best. And we may have just not been at a good time either.
Right, yeah, we could have gotten a bad batch. But,
Yeah.
my only point there was, we've sat through meals politely that we didn't love.
Yeah.
Because it was for someone else. And so, that OP's wife can't even sit through one meal and, because afterward, if they go home and have cake or something, they're probably having cake or ice cream or something, or she can get something else on the way, or I don't know. But, there's all kinds of options that she could have sat through dinner, or if she knew they were going there, she could have eaten beforehand.
Yeah. Our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk? I told my wife to stop overreacting over an innocent mistake. Today, when I came home from work, my daughter, a 7-year-old, didn't greet me as usual. I checked on her and she was apparently grounded by her mom for 2 weeks. I asked my wife what she had done and she told me that her teacher had called and said our daughter used some foul language in class. I asked her what word she used and she said the word was adult fun time. I asked my daughter where she had learnt the word from, and she said that she had heard it from mom telling her friend that she would be there in a sec. She said that she had learnt that means seconds, so she used the word in plural form, i.e. sex, while talking to her friend, and the teacher called my wife after hearing her. I relayed the same to my wife, but she said that's still not acceptable for a kid to use such language, and our daughter has to be disciplined. I told her to stop overreacting to such an innocent mistake. She told me that I'm being very lax and not a good parent. She refuses to talk to me or my daughter now. Am I the jerk? No, I mean, I think OP is the jerk here. The thing is this, that you should have taken a bar of soap and washed the kid's mouth out and been like, never speak these words again
here. First of all, the daughter made a completely innocent, generalization.
Yeah, this was not a malicious use of language. The teacher overreacted and the mom overreacted.
Exactly. Well, and sometimes, even if kids use curse words, if they heard it, from friends or in a movie or something, they may not be doing it with knowing fully the intent of the word. So I think intent is everything here. And I think grounding your kid for 2 weeks for saying a swear word is an overreaction anyway, but especially where the intent was just oh, this is the plural. I'm pluralizing this word.
Yeah.
I feel really bad for this poor girl that her teacher and now her mom are acting like she's done something terrible when Clearly, she had no idea what she was doing or what it sounded like she was
Yeah.
doing. Our last story is, am I the jerk for reminding my dad that my sister is paying for my tuition? My sister is an influencer. She has a lot of followers and makes money from it. My parents hate it and think it is not proper and constantly criticize her. My dad always brings up that she is not using the engineering degree he is paid for. It's annoying, and I know it hurt my sister a lot. She doesn't visit us at all now. My dad lost his very lucrative job a few years back, so they told me they wouldn't pay my tuition. My sister stepped in and said she would pay for everything and not to worry about it. My parents were again criticizing her and whining about the post she made. Dad whined about her degree, and he was warning me not to be like her. I said she is the one paying for my education, and I didn't like them trashing her, and they were being so judgmental about it, and they were the ones who were treating her horribly. My dad blew up on me and called me disrespectful. My mom is being passive-aggressive. I know that they are wrong, but our family having to live on less money is a pretty sensitive topic. I think I should have held my tongue as I am moving out soon.
So what do you think here? Do you think OP is the jerk in this situation?
No, I don't think OP's the jerk for defending their sister.
Yeah, I think that OP is not the jerk. They literally stood up for their sister and said, hey, please don't insult my sister. And the parents threw a hissy fit about it and are now, acting like children.
Yeah, well, and parents have been criticizing this daughter to the point where she's not even visiting them anymore. And, that says something about the parents' treatment of her. And sometimes your kids end up in professions that you don't love. You have to recognize that your kid is an independent person from you.
Yeah.
And, I know influencer has a lot of negative connotations and whatnot, but...
Yeah, it's just another job. It's a new job in this gig in this career, in this, world that we have. New jobs are always being created. New jobs are always being lost. Our old jobs are being lost. And it isn't something to turn your nose up at.
Right, and it apparently more than pays the bills if she's able to pay her siblings' tuition.
Yeah.
So, I don't know why the parents are, it's fine if they don't love her job, but that's the kind of thing you keep to yourself.
Yeah.
And not, malign your kid. Why aren't you using your engineering degree?
She probably is using her engineering degree to some degree, but not probably the way it's intended. I imagine that some of the things she learned there are indispensable, like critical thinking and whatnot. But other things I'm sure aren't applicable.
Yeah, well, and that's another thing is, how many people go into the exact field they get their degree in? So many people end up in fields that aren't even tangential really related. Maybe you're using the same critical thinking skills and whatnot, but it's not a degree translates directly into you now have to get this kind of job or you're guaranteed this kind of job.
Exactly. And I mean, the dad's not doing anything with his career right now, or his education either, being laid off. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, consider giving me a like. Thanks to Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Happy Friday, Junior.
I kind of did this all out of order.
You did.
I did it completely out of order, and it's just to keep Amber on her toes. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.